Hello and welcome to Pete's This Week on Cogeco TV, once again brought to you from the Cogeco TV production studios. The Petes are about to head on a northern road swing. They were able to spend about 24 hours on top of the Eastern Conference, but they're going to be challenged as they head north now. Today we're joined by the host of Sudbury Wolves games on Eastlink TV, Amanda Zurkowski. Amanda, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now the Sudbury Wolves, we were talking a little bit before you came on air, were just notoriously bad for the past half decade. What's it like now to see them actually climbing to the top and spending some time atop the Central Division?
It's been an exciting change. I think it's been well overdue. It's no secret that the Sudbury Wolves have been at the bottom of the barrel for the last couple of years, and to kind of see some new light and that light at the end of the tunnel for them is so key, because you can even tell in the players themselves and their voices, everything has changed. The whole mentality has changed. It's such a positive atmosphere to be around now. Whereas before, everybody was kind of down in the dumps, and they knew that it wasn't going to turn out well for them at the end of the year.
And now for the group in Sudbury, a little bit of an ownership situation may have played a role in that. Just take me through the change and how that happened, and then what were the direct results when the ownership did turn over?
So one of the biggest changes that we've seen with the ownership changing over to Dario Zulich, who is a local businessman here in Sudbury, is that he believes in this team and he believes in this city. And just from his belief and instilling that belief in the players, the coaching staff, management staff, it has been such a huge change. This is an owner who, before games, is standing outside greeting fans as they come into the arena, thanking them for purchasing a ticket to come to the game and watch this team. He's a guy that's sitting in the stands, not in a box. He's in the stands with the fans, and then after the games, he's outside, thanking them for coming to the games.
Wow.
And if it's a loss, he's outside apologizing on behalf of the team. So he is somebody that's really invested in Sudbury as a community, but also as a hockey organization, and he has big plans. He is behind the force that is trying to drive a brand new arena, and they have big plans. And I think one of the biggest changes for the team was when he first purchased the team, they actually sat down with the management and coaching staff, and they developed a mission statement. And their mission statement is that they wanted to turn 16-year-old boys into 20-year-old men, because he realized that at the end of this, most of these players are not going to go on to NHL careers. That's the reality of hockey. And he wanted to make sure that these were 20-year-old men who are ready for the real world at the end of this.
That's an incredible situation to hear about, actually. And the new arena discussion, something we're familiar with here in Peterborough. The PMC, I think, is 2 years younger than the Sudbury Community Arena, so the two oldest arenas in the league, but good hockey being played in both rinks this year. Nice change for both centers. Now, in terms of the Sudbury Wolves, the actual team, Dmitry Sokolov, why was he a 7th-round NHL draft pick? Just looking at his numbers, his size, it seems to stand out as somebody who should have been taken a little bit higher. What do you think held him back from being taken higher in the NHL draft?
I think it's just situation. It's playing on a team that is been down in the dumps and not posting good numbers. It doesn't reflect on a player's game personally very positively. So I think that's probably why he was held back for sure, because certainly he should have gone higher, in my opinion.
And 49 points so far this season. Then you look at some of the talented players on the Wolves roster. One that's always been an interesting story to me is that of David Levin, of course, born in Israel and drafted first overall. How's he been adapting? He didn't really take off like a lot of first overall selections have, but clearly a talented player. How's he growing and how's he developing in the OHL?
I think his story is so remarkable. And from a personal standpoint, interviewing him, I would have to say he's by far my favorite interview, because you can just see the passion that he exudes for hockey and just being around this atmosphere. And for him this season, again, he started really slow. There was a lack of, I don't know if motivation is necessarily the right term in this case, but he just couldn't get it going. And then once it started coming together for him, it's come together in a big way. He's already surpassed his point totals from last year. And in coming into Friday night's game, he's actually 3 goals in 2 games. So he's definitely making a big impact. He is playing on a line with Dmitry Sokolov, which I think has made a big difference, and Ryan Valentini, who himself is having a fantastic year.
Yeah, those 3 guys, of course, the top 3 on the scoring list for the Wolves. Now, Amanda, David Matsos came in recently as a head coach from this team, and our color analyst Brian Drum always points out when the Petes do play Sudbury, how strong of a coach he is and how strong he develops these players. What have you seen that's different from him, and what style of play do the Wolves have now?
Matsos is a fantastic coach. He comes from, obviously that playing experience, having played for the Sioux Greyhounds, winning the Memorial Cup with the Sioux Greyhounds in '93, something that I was actually able to watch being in the Sioux. And now coming to that coaching position, he's a positive guy. He's not afraid to call out his players, though, when they're not playing well. And I think there's that level of respect there that was really missing in years past with some of the previous coaches after Mike Foligno had left. And I think just having that outlook has made such a huge difference. Players want to play for him. They want to succeed for him. They want to post wins up on the board for him. And I think right now, the style of play that Sudbury is playing is just gritty, in-your-face hockey, and it's working for them. Yes, they're the most penalized team in the OHL, but they're able to get wins put up on the board, and they're always in that fighting position for top spot in the Central Division.
So coming up against the Petes, when they do face off next on the 27th, the Petes have a strong power play. Nikita Koroskelev recently added to the equation for the Petes. They've been rolling hot. Steven Lorentz just had a 4-goal game. We'll actually catch up with him a little bit later in this show. But what have you seen from the Peterborough Petes? What do you know about the Peterborough Petes from the Sudbury perspective?
Obviously, you kind of keep a watch on the standings and see what's going on. Penalty kill for Sudbury, I think, is going to be key on Friday night, just because they do tend to get into trouble. But they do have one of the strongest penalty kills in the league right now. So I think mixing all of that into play with the style of play that Peterborough plays, I expect, a fast-paced, gritty hockey game.
And in terms of the rest of their swing, how tough has it been for teams? The Petes are going to be heading through Sudbury, the Sioux, and then North Bay. What's that swing done to teams so far this season?
So for sure, Sault Ste. Marie, obviously they're the team to beat this year. Another former coach, or another former player turned coach in Drew Bannister in the Sioux, who also played on the Memorial Cup winning team with Dave Matsos. Wow. Another highly respected individual in the hockey world. And the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds are definitely a team to watch out for. And, there's been situations this year as far as Sioux versus Sudbury games where they're close games, and anybody can win on any given night.
All right, Amanda, so thanks again for joining us. But if people want to follow you on Twitter or anywhere like that, how can they do that, and what kind of information are you putting out there?
So I can be followed at Insider Wolves on Twitter. I am the person behind the Insider Wolves account, which is part of the OHL Insiders. That's usually the main account that I use. I am always posting about trades that have come up. So usually if, around the trade deadline, great place for a source for information. As well, during game days, I am live tweeting as well. So opinions are my own and are often, I think they're pretty darn good. So give me a follow. I'd love to have you guys.
Excellent, Amanda. We look forward to seeing you on Friday night. We'll be tuning in for sure. Once again, Amanda Zurkowski, host of Sudbury Wolves games on Eastlink TV and Insider Wolves on Twitter. We'll head to break now. When we come back, we catch up with the 4-goal man, Steven Lorentz, and get to some highlights from the past 2 Petes games. You're watching Petes This Week on Cogeco TV.